I think if I died tomorrow, I'd be happy.
Good.
I'd be happy. I
Good,
think I've
you're worth
achieved
more to me dead. This week, I'm in control. And this week, I'm entering the one, the only, Alan James Braithwaite from Yellow Tuxedo. That's it, my husband. This week's fascinating for me because Alan is clearly, out of the two of us, the most dynamic, enigmatic force of nature. And I was really keen to interview him this week to find out why he's like that. Before we get into the crux of it, again, thank you so much for being here today and for listening. Please, 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 if you're not yet subscribed to the podcast, please do that. We'd love you forever. And leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about today's episode. Right, let's get into Alan Braithwaite. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, born ready, Emily. Born ready. You know this will be kept in, don't you?
Yeah. You're the one editing the video. Yeah. Of course you are. Alan Braithwaite, it is your turn.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right, so as always, one question. What are you trying to achieve?
Well, hold on. Now I've had a chance to think about this. This is a tricky answer, isn't it? Because we've recorded, I don't know, something like 25 odd plus episodes. So I had to listen to everyone's answers. And obviously what you're trying to achieve is specific to you. Mm-hmm. So I think... so I'm in my mid-40s. I always bang on about these things. I think...
in your mid-40s and you grew up in the 80s in Andover. Yeah,
and I love the 90s.
There we go.
Yeah. I'm an open book. I think what I'm currently trying to achieve, and for me, this is not about the business, right? But there are business stuff within that. But I'm trying to achieve our version of financial freedom, so we can do what we choose to do. Choice is a massive thing for me. So we can do what we choose to do and, securing our children's futures, doing what we can to help our children's futures, because secure is a bit of a bizarre word. And who knows what the world's going to be like in 1 year, let alone 10, 20 or 30.
So we've been in business together for 11 years. We didn't have children 11 years ago.
No.
So what was your motivation then?
So, well, that's a really good question. I think it would have been choice. I think choice would have been about that. I think there would have been a massive financial element. I say financial freedom. I've always harboured desire. I'm saying I a lot more because we normally say we. I don't really know what you're alluding to, but you're clearly alluding to something. So let me try and think. 11 years ago, when we started out on business, I think it was an element of choice. I think desires to be multi-millionaires, like rich. We wanted to solve that. Mm-hmm. I certainly don't come from a rich childhood. I'm going to say humble. I mean, my parents never went. I didn't go without. I never went without. But I certainly wouldn't say we were rolling in it. Far from it. So I think I was trying to buck the trend. You know what? All those people who've gone, I wanted to stick two fingers up to the naysayers. Not in I've had lots of naysayers to say things, but in that, you'll never be rich type thing. And it's like, actually, I wanted to prove the system wrong.
Yeah.
I think it's more about it. I wanted to.
I find that about you a lot, actually, Alan. And you say things like that. And you say, I grew up in the 80s Andover. And you said you came from a humble background. Really, you've always... and managed to achieve whatever you've set out to do. And
that is true.
But I always sometimes think that you almost feel like you have something to prove with people. Would I be right in saying that? Or
not to people? So if I'm trying to prove myself to anyone, it will be myself and the system. So therefore, I couldn't give a monkeys about anyone else in this equation, in this specific instance. So if I am trying to prove anything, it's to myself and the fact that the system can be changed.
But what are you trying to prove to yourself?
That I can achieve. I have this. Oh, okay. This is an interesting direction, I guess. I have this. I don't think I would be happy. Cue 1,000 coaches who listen to this, dropping emails and going.
1,000 coaches that actually do.
10,000 coaches that listen. I hold on. What was your question again? Who am I trying to prove
what
it
are you trying
to?
prove?
Right. I don't think I will be happy. Oh God, there's people cringing, isn't there, right now? I don't think I will die happy unless I feel I've achieved what I deem to be mind-blowing things, i.e. my version of an Olympic gold medal and things like that. And I guess the challenge comes, you've alluded to, I've always achieved everything I've set out to achieve. And I've always, I feel I have, from passing my driving test, simple things, to living by the sea that I wanted to do, to running across deserts and starting businesses and all these other things. But I guess I'm a victim of my own successes. As I achieve things, that becomes normality. So what's the next thing I'm trying to achieve?
I get that. And what I've always found fascinating about you as well is when you regale stories from before we were together, and from your teenage years, when you had your first company car and things you achieved and all those things, you actually recognise them as milestones, where a lot of us wouldn't even think of them as the path to greatness.
So I watched Top Gear round about 14, 15 years old, and they did an article on young people with company cars where they compared the current 3 Series BMW to a C-Class Mercedes. And I said, I'm going to have a company car as young, and I had a company car at 18.
But that's why it's really amiable, because not everyone would see those micro goals, those teeny tiny increments to moving forward as part of that master plan. And you can regale majority of those things. I mean, I have a very, I love my childhood, and
Is this about you or about me?
It's totally about me by a second. But, I can remember a kind of a pastel white, I can see the old history of my memories and stuff, but I don't remember the minute detail that you do. That's a very specific thing you have in your brain.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's incredible. And I think, and that's why I was kind of, it's bigging you up, and I'm your wife, and you're going to... But
I have a big ego. Don't big me up too much.
No, I don't. But I do see you as this little bit like old Liam Neeson and the unique set of skills. You are a very unique beast.
You do know what my thoughts on Liam Neeson as an actor are, don't you?
Yeah, well, not
2 films max.
Not Liam Neeson as the actor, but Liam Neeson in Taken.
Taken 1, because Taken 2 and 3 are dire. Right. Yeah.
Why do they make sequels to
these
things?
Goodness knows.
Anyhow, but no, you do have a unique set of skills, and I think the majority of people who are listening who know you. I don't know about the thousands of you from Mexico who don't know Alan yet.
Hola, ¿cómo están?
See, you are a very unique beast in that you are 0 to 1,000 and back again on the majority of things. You are a self-confessed maximizer. You are very, very positive, bubbly, Tigger. People have to hold on for dear life when they're on your roller coaster.
I did get referred to by Amy Robertson, who did our official branding for pictures when we used to get them done. Did she genuinely call me to my face a force of nature? I believe.
Yeah.
She said, when you're with Alan, you have to hold on.
You do have to hold on.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see it because I don't see any of that, because I just am me. And now I've talked to you a lot about this. I do spend a lot. See, I have this thing. It's not comparisonitis, but I am genuinely curious at how other people live their lives and what other people are like. I don't, it's not a comparison thing, because I couldn't give a monkeys, but I am curious. And, I guess one of the examples is, what do people do after school? Because we have an element of coming home and the kids sit on the sofa and we put chicken nuggets in the oven, and it's like, this can't be the only thing to do after school. So what was the point? I don't know. That's probably my downfall.
He is so fast. He goes from 0 to 1,000. He sometimes stumbles to remember what he's actually talking about. And you do that on many episodes as well.
Yeah, I know.
Do you think? I mean, this is not to be like going back into your past of your family.
I don't mind. You can do that.
But you did have not a tough upbringing, but you had a very serious upbringing with things that happened within your family unit that we don't need to go into detail with on this particular podcast. Do you think though that had some sort of impact as to why you are so overtly confident, loud, bubbly, positive? And the positives are great. All great things to have.
Yeah, I think.
You think? Sorry, is there not even overcompensating? But do you think that had to be crafted from within you to manage to kind of get yourself above the parapet a little bit to move forward with your future life?
So the answer is yes, and I can remember the minute detail on that as well. I can remember exactly what happened. Although I also read recently that the human memory is one of the most kind of, is fallible the right word? Would that do? Fallible things out there, and like you should never rely on someone's memory. So look, it's tricky, isn't it? I don't think I had a bad childhood in any way, shape or form.
And that's admirable, because again,
by the way, if my parents listen to this, they are probably going to
for goodness sake, you both of you were amazing. This is nothing your type of parenting, but I think some of the...
Sorry, My mum and dad divorced when I was 1 year old, right? It just is. And mum brought up 3 kids, dad was there at the weekends. It was just is what it was. It was, one of those things.
Within the family, there's been some mental health challenges and things like that throughout the years, but they all have that impact. And what I think is amazing for you is you don't even see them as challenges, whereas someone to the left may actually be crumbling on a
No, I don't see them as challenges. I just see them as
is. Part of the layers of your story, which is incredible, because I just think you don't even know how heavy some of the things in your life over the last 45 years could have been.
You know I'm not going to cry, don't you?
I know you're not going to cry.
Okay. Even though I am the crier.
I just find it fascinating how, for one person, those layers of challenges could be absolutely crippling. And for you, you've turned them into your superpower of being this amazing ball of complete energy.
Thank you.
Which... This is why I feel, again, we work so well as a couple, because you really do carry me through the times when I'm feeling absolutely like, I can't go further forward. And there's no choice but to hold on. Going back to that hold on for dear life with the Amy Robertson quote, we have to with you, because you go from 0 to 1,000 and we have to crack on. And I just don't know where that comes from within you and whether you realise that you've crafted that or it's always been there from a childhood.
I don't know the answer. Right, so hold on. So... Mum and Dad are both they're their own versions of achievers, right? Mm-hmm. They're their own versions of achievers. Neither of them are kind of sit down, lay on the sofa type people. They're both kind of they're doers, they're get up and goers, they're problem solvers in their own ways, right? So there's got to be an element of me picking up from that. Then there's going to be an element of the situation. But the story, the minute detail I could remember, I remember being, I think it was either late teens or early 20s. I had that job with the company car, actually. And I remember moaning a lot. Oh, this is rubbish, life's rubbish and everything else. And I wrote a mantra down before I even knew what a mantra was, right? This is true. So I remember nothing's going to happen whilst I'm moaning about this. So I wrote on a Post-it I was a field engineer for ICO and Fujitsu. I wrote on a Post-it on my, what's that called? Sun visor. Stop whinging and kind of be positive. And so that I was doing that before I even knew that was a thing, before TikTok, Instagram and LinkedIn was telling us all these things, right? Mantras and daily stuff. So I was aware I was being grumpy, how far I got being grumpy. Because realistically, the job I had at the time paid an okay wage. I had a company car. And I was in scouting, and with my group of friends, we were away all the time. So really, I was living the dream. So a version of a dream always. So if there was any learning, the learning for me is, actually, it's never that bad. But I was being moany, and I started kind of going, actually, stop whinging, and it's okay, be positive. I was doing gratitude before I knew what gratitude was. I remember that as well.
So would you say you're woo-woo?
No, I like all the universe stuff. No, hold on, because everything's on a scale, isn't it? So if I say, yes, I'm woo-woo, that's, I can't answer that. No, because I believe you got to take action. You have to take action. Because if you go back to that stop whinging, be positive sign in the car, that's not woo-woo, that's reprogramming my neuroplasticity, Emily, thank you. And that I do believe in, and that's science. That's not woo-woo. So I'm more about taking action and using the tools and resources that are available to do it than woo-woo.
I live with you, so I know the answer to this question. Are you always positive?
No, people are always surprised when I tell them I have my down moments. But no, I think that's where part of my wanting to kind of compare. I'm going to say compare because it's easy to think. Understand how other people live their lives, because it is impossible to be 100% all the time. There's not much that is 100%, right? Other than 100%. So no, I have mama, and they can last ages, they can last, but I'll always, even if I am feeling low down, insert any other word, stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, all of the above, a bit of each, I will still go, well, there's no point moaning about it. I might as well take action and do something. Like, are you laughing because I don't do that?
No, I agree with you, Alan. I'm just listening.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
No, I will go. Well, there's literally, and that could last weeks, right? The feeling like that could last weeks, but I will still turn up and deliver every day because there's no point not doing anything about it. I'll tell you what my big problem is, and we've spoken to a lot of people on this on the podcast. What if I get to the end, whenever the end is, and don't feel I've achieved it? So if I'm doing any work at the moment, it's about not needing to achieve it. What is it? So
that's huge. And again, coming back to that strength you have in your is it Myers-Briggs maximizer?
I think it was Myers-Briggs is EBJT or whatever it is.
Whichever strengths finder test.
No, this was Gallup.
Gallup strengths finder test.
Paula works for Gallup. Shh.
Alan's sister used to work for Gallup.
Still does work for
Gallup. Sorry,
she does right now. Unless you know something I don't.
I don't. But in terms of that maximizer, that's a really good point you've just said there. And again, for listeners to really kind of, I suppose, what is enough, and how would you feel if enough you didn't get to that enough? And that's the whole idea of enjoying the journey, enjoying the ride, not so much the destination. All those cliches that come along with it as well. You do maximise every inch of every opportunity.
Don't know what you mean. Don't know what you mean. Are you suggesting that I come across pernickety and all those other words at times?
It's probably one of our only frictions in our relationship.
Only. Clearly, we've got different views on this.
Lovely. Thank you very much. We'll have an argument off camera in a minute. Yeah. But it is something where you, be it going for a run, you don't just go for a run around the block. You have to get to that PB. You have to kind of push yourself to the next challenge of your running, which is great. And I think everyone should have that next in terms of physical exertion as well. When it's designing something for social media, whether it's about understanding an event, whether it's about going for a family walk to the forest, and what can we do to maximise every opportunity? Let's go geocaching at the same time and try and make sure every minute of that hour is filled. And I think it's... Do you ever feel that sometimes that doesn't allow you just to relax and enjoy the moments? Yeah,
probably. But so hold on. There's as always, there's a couple of schools of thoughts, isn't there? So one of the things I know you've not just said, but I could mention is like, if I wake up on a Saturday, so to speak, not having planned something to do, I'm a nightmare, right? I'm an absolute nightmare. I can kind of get by if I go out for a run, and then I probably have to have a chat with myself and go, it's okay just to hang out with the kids, right? But if I choose to do nothing, I'm absolutely right as rain. So I think there's an element of choice. There's an element in my head of there's one life, I need to live it. I probably sit down doing nothing more than I've ever done before, but that's been driven by the kids, because the kids want to sit down and watch TV sometimes. And I'm like, well, I can keep doing stuff, or I can sit down with the kids and spend quality time with them, or, doing something with them. So a lot of that's been driven by the kids. But I don't know. Does that answer it?
It will for now.
It will for now.
My next question to you, something I've been bubbling and thinking about, and we don't always ask this with our guests either, is...
I'm really nervous if you spent time thinking.
No, this is a big deal for me to interview you and have this space where we're not in having a guest to chat about. We have to think about what we talk, because it's otherwise it's very curated. And I was thinking about how I could get stuff out of there that you wouldn't necessarily answer to me, but we've got a camera and you can't say no to it.
That's fine.
So we've been working together since 2012, and we've had several businesses, and we've had several challenges, both personally and businessly. What would you say has been our biggest challenge, our biggest hurdle that we've had to jump over in either personal or business?
Our biggest hurdle in the past decade or so of entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
Well, so this is where, going back to like it just is. So for me, a lot of it just is, right? So I don't see it as a hurdle. The thing that sits in my head is finances, right? That's the thing that sits in my head. And I think that's why I want to solve that massively, because through, redundancy and businesses not going in, and, when we did Bailey Bell Tents, we looked to franchise it and then we pulled it, but we'd kind of planned on growing a franchise and it's like, oh poop, we need to start again. So the finances sit there. But when I was, funny enough, I was literally thinking about this on my run this morning. When I look back with retrospect and hindsight at the past 11 years, finances doesn't even factor in. It doesn't even factor in because we've still got a roof over our head. We've still got a family who love us. And when, does that make love? That makes sense. We're still amongst loved ones. But when I look back at the past 11 years, I don't see any specific challenges. I see we've had a fantastic adventure. If you knuckle down into the detail, there'd be illness, there'd be health issues, there'd be
a house sale,
there'd be lockdown, there'd be all these things. Genuinely, hand on heart, Scouts Honour, and Scouts Honour is the biggest thing I can do. I don't see any of that.
And that's
I see an absolute adventure we've been on.
That is why I asked that question, because I knew that would be your reply.
Because we've argued about this, haven't we? About lockdown. I look at lockdown and when we had family time.
You were made redundant, big thing, right? We sold our house and had a bit of a struggle with in terms of our living situation.
I think the polite thing is we made a mistake, but we always learn. I think that's what we say there.
Nutshell, we went to try and we sold our house, had some equity in the house, invested in the business with a view to at some point with our events business have an outdoor wedding venue. That's what we did. Then COVID happened. It didn't happen. Things happen, but that was a hurdle. We had COVID. We lost 100% of our revenue. We've had a sick child.
That one sits with me, but I only think that's, sorry to interrupt, but it is about me, not you. You've got yours.
No, I'm shutting you down.
Oh, okay.
But in terms of these things that at the time, in the moment, were incredibly stressful, and I remember the conversations we had in the minute, in the time, living it at that time. They were testing times, but I don't call them rose tinted glasses.
I'm happy with rose tinted glasses.
But that is something I wish I had more of, and I wish more people could embody like you do, is that when you look back at these things that happened over the last 11 years, you never say that was challenging.
No.
You just put that as part of the layer of the chapter of life, and that's what it is. And I don't know how you do it.
I don't know. I'd like it to be easier. I'd love our story to be, we sold our house, we went all in the business and we made £1 million in 18 months. I would love that to be our story, but that's not our story. But our story and our adventure it just is. I don't know. It just is. It might be because I can't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. It might be all those. But genuinely, when I look back, I think of parties in the garden. I think of going to the park. We used to do parks on tour. We would drive round to parks and see how many different parks we could take the kids to. We just used to do all these simple things. But a lot of that, and we're still not minted. We're still not out the woods, right? No. But a lot of that was because we were trying to save money or whatever. But actually, I just look at it as, it's like my childhood with my mum, because I lived with my mum when we were growing up, saw my dad at the weekends and that. But I think about the long walks, and I think about going over to the sports centre and collecting conkers and conkery. I think about going over to Scouts and Scout Camp. I don't think of the tough things that may have happened. I don't know why. I'm aware of them. Look, if someone says, Alan, you're deluded, I'll just go, okay, thanks very much.
No, I don't think you're deluded. I think it is a really fabulously it's an amazing trait to have, and I just wish I knew how to do more of that, because I do see the layers of stuff that have happened over the last decade, or last 20 years even as well, and they are part of that pattern of life. But I do find them, I think of them differently to you do. But I also think then, if you bring that back into our business and what we do now with the Digital Circus and Yellow Tuxedo, do you think that ability, that super skill you have to not let the shit hit the fan kind of affect you in that way, helps you to move our clients fall a little bit, because things happen to everyone all the time, right? And your bubbly personality and that kind of energy that you have, whether you realise it or not, a lot of
Well,
people...
I do now, because literally every person I meet goes, haven't you got good energy? And I'll go, well, I must do, because 100% of the people I meet tell me it.
I mean, sometimes I just wish it were quiet a little bit.
Well,
but,
I like a nap on the sofa when the kids are watching a film.
And
My current favourite thing, winter's day, we've been out in the morning, we get back for an afternoon film, have a beer on the sofa, 10-minute nap. Oh, I love it.
I really appreciate Alan's naps. That's a whole
Right,
different
sorry, I interrupted.
So anyway,
Clients.
so the ability to take people on that. I mean, we're not out of the woods. You're absolutely right. We're on our way throughout the woods, and I can see a light at the end of the tunnel. Kind of all of those analogies. But do you think that helps people in terms of, because we are not multi-billionaires who've made it like offering, here's how you get 10k months kind of approach to our marketing efforts with our business? Do you think that's a good thing?
Say that again, sorry.
Sorry, I'll re-articulate. So
I think you were okay, by the way. I was thinking about something else.
We are in that spot, and we've had challenges, quite large challenges over the years that you don't recognise as challenges. You just see them as part of the
just stuff to do.
Do you think that's helpful for people who are in small business together as well, who are feeling those kind of feelings of despair, annoyance, strain, stress, external forces and stuff, to see that actually we're all going through it, we have been through it, but actually you can keep moving forward? Yeah,
I think so. And whether I truly I guess I'm quite pragmatic, right? I'm very pragmatic. Like, I sometimes have to remember. I remember once my dad was rushed into hospital, right?
I remember that time.
And I had to ring up Emily to kind of help me decide whether I should drive there to make sure he was okay, which in hindsight,
you should have.
Yeah, which I did. I cruised up to Southend in a jalopy Renault 5 with a sheepskin shag pile parcel shelf.
The
window falling down.
So you were gaffer taping the window shelf.
So, and once again, I'm just seeing that as a cool story, by the way, which fundamentally my dad was quite ill at the time. So I think my pragmaticism, if that's a word, can be helpful, right? I don't think it means I ignore the harsh realities. I think I just view them as, you can't do anything about it. It is what it is. What can we affect right now? What can we do? I wake up wanting to do every day. And I imagine that does come across into our clients. It's like, yep, I know that's not happy. Or the other option is, if that's you know what my dad used to say to me, this is a classic, if it's a problem and you can do something about it, do something about it so it's not a problem. If it's a problem and you can't do anything about it, you can't do anything about it, so it's still not a problem. And I feel all these little things have sat in me over the years, and I maintain them. I'll tell you, do you want a deep thing that I think about?
Do I need to get comfy?
No, I don't think so. Okay. It's a short one. But I think, so I feel my maximizer / pernickety / kind of whatever has probably annoyed a lot of close friends over the years. Fact, right?
It's annoyed me. So
it's annoyed you. And, you know, our close friend base is not as big as perhaps, even though my brother and sister go, what are you banging on about? You've got no friends. You're always busy. But I think, I can't believe I'm admitting this one, but I'm going to admit it. I think there's an element of, I do keep people at arm's reach a little bit, because I can be grumpy, and I would rather keep them in the positive fun side of Alan. Right. And I go, they don't need to see that, because that's not going to help them in their life, achieving whatever they're trying to achieve, whether that's a great life or something more particular, specific. So I go, there's no real benefit to them seeing that. So I might as well just keep that over here. And I think the other thing is, I know if they get too close, I will end up bringing that, why are you doing that when you could do this type approach, which I can have a tendency to add, which I think just pisses people off.
Well, that's really interesting, because that's kind of, that's devaluing what friendship is to people.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And that's their decision to make if they choose to feel or think that. And
I just kicked the camera. Sorry, everyone who's watching.
And again,
if you're listening, you're all right. If you're watching, it just went all over the place.
Is the fact that keeping people at arm's length is great, and that's a very giving attitude to going, I would like people to have this from me.
I'd need to really think about that, and that is an initial answer, if that makes sense.
But what about what you need from people? And you've said, since we've that we've been together 17, 18 years. Oh, blimey, 18 years. We've been together that long, and you feed off energy of people, and you like to be surrounded by people. So that is almost a counterintuitive thing to say, in that if I keep people at arm's length, they can't get to see my warts and all and feel my negativity. When actually, you would probably benefit from the support of other people to know that when you're feeling those dips and those troughs and things. Oh my goodness, it's going to do a whole psychoanalysis of Alan
do you know
Braithwaite
what?
today.
I've been genuinely thinking about this episode. We planned this episode in a while ago. And I just kind of got to the conclusion, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. There's no point there's no point giving you the abridged, fluffy version. I might as well just do it.
Going back to that initial question of what you're trying to achieve, having now kind of ripped a few onion layers off you since that beginning, very kind of clear-cut answer of what you're trying to achieve, which was what you say to everything all the time. What do you want in this life? And that's clearly not although financial freedom is the cherry on top. That can be made and will be made at some point. But what do you need as like the external factors on you to make sure that you're a happy, fulfilled Alan by the time you're on your deathbed?
I don't know. I think so. I really don't. I'm not actually very good about answering stuff about myself.
You say that, but you are very good at it. You just need to give yourself the time and space.
So I want an unbelievable, ridiculous amount of fun.
Yep.
Right. I want more fun, and fun that's not, that's what I find fun. It's up there with adventures need not be complicated. Fun need not be complicated. I think I'd be happy. Oh my God, this is really bad, isn't it? I think I would be. I am happy. Don't read into that one. I am happy. I think if I died tomorrow, I'd be happy.
Good.
I'd be happy. I
Good,
think I've
you're
achieved.
worth more to me dead.
I genuinely think I've achieved. So I do say this. Like sometimes I talk to Mum about our financial goals, and Mum will say things like, "Yeah, but money doesn't." But classic stuff like, money doesn't buy you happiness, and family's more important." And I go, "Yeah, but I've got the family part. I've got the kind of currently, touch wood, all this other stuff. I kind of am quite positive, fit and healthy at the moment, and all these other things. So why not work on the financial part?" Choice is massive to me. Like, I think that's part of my anti-system thing. It's like, I want to choose what I do. I don't want to be fair. Not at the expense of anyone else. I'm not into that in any way, shape or form, but I want to make choices. I remember once I went to Goodwood Festival of Speed and saw I saw other people. I was about to label them and realise how wrong that. I saw other people in the kind of exclusive zone. And I remember thinking, well, why are they in the exclusive zone and I'm not in the exclusive zone? And it's not that I wanted to be in there, but I wanted the choice to be in there. Does that make sense? I don't need these things. I want to be able to choose to do these things. I don't need a Ferrari. Oh, I don't really want a Ferrari at all. No. But I just want a van to go on adventures.
You're a Bedford Rascal.
I do. Choice. I want to choose to be able to buy a Bedford Rascal this week and a Daihatsu Hijet. That is genuinely what I would buy. We drive a Citroen Berlingo because I blimmin' love it. A Mark 1, not the nice shape, the old shape. It's about choice. And the second I feel the choice is removed from me, that's probably when I start to unwind a little bit. Not unwind, unravel is probably the right thing. When I feel the choice isn't there.
Right.
There we go. Does that answer it?
It absolutely does. And I think, okay, so we make £10 billion tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's not about financial everything, but we make 10 and you have the choice to do something. What's the first thing you do?
Buy a van, plan an adventure.
Where would you go?
Well, hold on. Sorry. This is how my head works. So obviously I clear family debt, clear all that. Yeah, exactly.
But what would you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Buy a van, go on adventures.
What adventure would you have?
I'd probably go for a run, not feeling I need to get back to do work.
That's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I would choose, shall we go out for lunch and not feel potentially guilty that we have to get back because we need to be visible and share some social media out. It's literally about choice. Yes, I want to go to Bora Bora and all these other things, but I also just want to, go, actually, the kids are at school today, so I'm going to spend Saturday and Sunday with them. So I'm going to go on a 40k jaunt along the South Downs today, and that won't impact my time with them. And I can do that because the business doesn't need me to need in inverted commas, obviously, everyone, need me today. It's about 100% about choice.
So basically, keep carrying on, get it done. Get the job done. Maximise this opportunity. Make sure we're there.
Maximise it. Well, by be pernickety. Right.
Okay. I could honestly ask you questions all day because this is fun.
Can I just say one thing? I think this is me being defensive if I'm really kind of looking into...
Well, don't be defensive.
Well, I think I just want to reiterate, if I've not mentioned it, how important the people element is.
Yeah.
It's so... I know it's not about us as a business, but if we were billionaires and we owned our own desert island, we'd be bored. Because we would be, because we weren't interacting with people, we weren't feeding off them, we weren't sharing what we know how to do with others to potentially help what they're trying to achieve. And we've always said this, even when we reach our version of our financial goals, and they are important. If you're sitting there going, this money thing's really important to them, yeah, it is. But it's not the be all and end all. It really isn't. I think it will just change how we share what we can do to potentially help others.
The thing I keep taking from listening to, and you've just said that several times now, it is that choice, and financially free sounds on it, and those who say you don't need money are usually the ones who have money, but hey, but it's the choice to be able to do what you want, and that's not to say you want to live on Millionaire's Island, but to be able to take those breaks when you want to and not feel guilt. Yeah,
exactly. I think Ali Abdaal, YouTuber, I get his newsletter and it's really interesting, and I'm thinking of something I could do similar because I find it so interesting, and like, what could my version be? He says he was a junior doctor, grew a YouTube audience, I don't know, 4 or 5 million, something like that. Now making money, etc., right?
I hate him.
No, we don't. we love him. But he says he now hangs around with multi-millionaires up, and they all discuss at what point do they feel no more money made a difference. Right. So at some point, earning up to X point made a difference. After that, it doesn't really make a difference. And it's not actually that, I can't remember the number. I'm going to say 1 million, right? Because I just can't remember. It's and they say no more happiness. And by their definition of happiness, they're removing problems. So when the car breaks down, they just ring up and it's fixed, rather than what cards is going on. Oh, the savings have gone down. It's
you're not thinking about it.
Yeah. You're freeing up time in your head. That's what you're doing. You're not buying happiness. You're freeing up space, right? And it's like, what point? And they say it's not actually that high.
Well, make sure you put this in the show notes for people who watch to this point. Well done. Thank you very much. Love you. Make sure you put what that number is. I think I've
got to remember that. Or go and search down Ali Abdaal, actually. It's absolutely worth it. I find his newsletter better than his YouTube channel nowadays.
Controversial.
Yeah, there we go.
Anyway, Alan, come on. We are coming towards the end of the podcast. So we started with the standard Digital Circus Live question. We're going to finish with the standard Digital Circus Live question. And that is, put an arm around yourself. Go back to, 16 when you were working for... Fujitsu, 18 Fujitsu.
ICL then got bought out by Fujitsu. Yeah, field engineer.
Back then, back then, when you were a mere lad, and go, Alan, what are you going to say to him?
Easy. Now, factoring in everything is what it is, I'm relatively pragmatic. My answer, 100% would be invest.
Oh, you've gone to that way again.
I have. I'm really sorry. Look, I need you to understand that money is not that important. If I tell you, if I died tomorrow, I would be happy. But I just can't get my head past removing some of those things. I just can't get my head past, right? And a lot of our challenges have been driven by finances, right? Fact, when COVID came along and we lost 100% of our revenue, that's a financial thing. And I just need to reiterate, it is not the be all and end all. But if I'm happy with my life, I believe it is what it is. I've got the love of my family and the love I give you and them, right? If I'm happy with all of that, and I'm at with life just plays its adventure, there's only one thing left for me to remove from that equation, because it is a fundamental. So if the answer's not invest, the answer will be don't bother with any of it. That's the flip side, right? The one answer is invest and solve that. The other answer would be, don't worry about it, Alan. Just buy a tent and go and live in a field. Or done that, but that's another story for another day.
Alan Braithwaite, the Weymouth years.
Yeah, the Weymouth years. Moved to Weymouth, live in a tent. Loved it.
Do you? So we are closing, but I think that as a message to what you do to yourself. Do you think that's why? I mean, we have 3 young'uns, and Ben's our 8-year-old at the time of recording. He's interested in making money, and why you're starting that with him now?
Yes. So I feel I've just said that. I've just said this, and we've said this about 5 times. Life is what it is. Okay, so we can't do much about that. Obviously, you can affect it, and you can choose. You can choose to go left or right today, right? All that sort of stuff. But fundamentally, those choices are in the moment, and you can go. I'm going to go left tomorrow. But you know what I mean? They're in the moment, right? So everything I look at, everything I kind of look around and what's going on, I just feel that if I had answered that financial thing at a young age, I'm not saying we wouldn't be doing Yellow Tuxedo, but it would be a very different version of Yellow Tuxedo. A lot of what we do is sometimes driven by, revenue, turnover, profit, and all this other stuff. And wouldn't it be nice to remove it? And we've said this a lot. I want to give so much to charity, so much to other people. I want to take as many people along on the ride as I can. Fact, we've always said that's why we only ever recruited friends.
Get your own shipping order first.
Well, you've got to get your own shipping. And I believe that in leadership. I believe that in fitness. You have to get your own shipping order before you can then support others. As a leader on expeditions, you can't properly lead your team if you're not looking after yourself. And I just feel that that's kind of a metaphor for life, or not really a metaphor, is it? It just is.
It's a message for life.
It's a message for life.
Right, Alan, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Alan, thank you very much.
Bye.
No, don't say bye.
Oh, bye. Thank you, my pleasure.
Because I know you were going to be a bit awkward about me asking you questions today, but you've done it all right.
Thanks very much. Thank you. I was going to carry on.
See you later, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.